All right, so you ready for this? Our listeners send us a ton of articles all about mosquitoes.
Mosquitoes.
Yeah, but not just any mosquitoes. We're talking about mosquitoes in Argentina that are genetically modified. And
Genetically modified mosquitoes.
yeah, and they're red,
Yeah.
like fluorescent red.
Wow.
They're being released to try to fight dengue fever.
Like a sci-fi movie or something?
Right, so we've got news articles and reports from Argentina, and then also some from international organizations.
Cool.
All about how these red mosquitoes are being used in Mendoza.
Oh, yeah, Mendoza.
And, dengue is a huge problem there. So
Yeah, it's a serious threat.
controlling the Aedes aegypti mosquitoes is like the most important thing.
For sure.
And that's where these red mosquitoes come in.
It's really interesting how they're using a technique that has worked with other insects for a long time.
Oh, really? So this isn't brand new?
No, it's called the sterile insect technique.
The sterile insect technique.
Or SIT.
SIT. Okay, so they've used this before with other bugs.
Yeah, so imagine this scientist raise like an army of mosquitoes in the lab, and then they give the males like a special treatment
Okay.
to sterilize them.
A special treatment. What do?
Radiation.
Whoa. So they can't reproduce.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Then they release these sterilized males into the wild, and they mate with the females.
Okay.
But because they're sterile, they don't produce any offspring.
Oh, that's pretty smart.
Yeah, so over time, that reduces the mosquito population and hopefully dengue fever.
Okay, I get it. So it's like population control for mosquitoes.
Exactly.
Has this worked before? It kind of sounds risky.
No, this isn't a new idea. Remember those med flies?
The fruit flies.
Yeah, they were destroying crops.
Yeah, I remember those.
SIT was used to get rid of them in some areas of Mexico.
Really?
And it saved their fruit industry.
Huh. So it's like a proven method.
Yeah. And now they're trying to do that in Argentina with the mosquitoes.
Wow, that's a really cool success story.
Yeah, and it sounds a lot better than spraying a bunch of insecticides, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's one of the huge benefits of this.
Yeah, it's like way more environmentally friendly.
Totally. It's
Yeah.
much more targeted and it's sustainable compared to just using insecticide everywhere.
Right, because insecticides can harm other insects and the environment.
Exactly.
So what about these red mosquitoes?
Yeah, what about them?
What's going on in Mendoza?
So they're doing a pilot program
Okay.
in the Guaymalan district, and they started by releasing 10,000 of these red mosquitoes.
Wait, hold up. Back up a second. Why are they red?
Oh, good question.
Yeah, is it just to make them easier to see?
Yeah, so researchers can track them.
Oh, okay.
They dyed them red using a special fluorescent dye
Interesting.
so they can see how far they travel.
How long they live and everything.
Exactly how well they compete with the wild mosquitoes.
So scientists are out there watching these red mosquitoes like they're celebrities or something.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's pretty cool.
It's a big science experiment happening in the streets.
So if I'm ever in Mendoza and I see one of these red mosquitoes buzzing around, what am I supposed to do?
Don't kill it?
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
But it's a mosquito.
I know it sounds kind of counterintuitive, but
Yeah.
remember, these are the sterile males, and they're not dangerous.
Okay.
They don't bite.
Right?
They're working hard to reduce the number of mosquitoes that do bite.
So don't swat them. Just let them fly around and do their job.
Exactly.
Okay. So we talked about what SIT is and how it works with the medfly and why these mosquitoes are red, but how do we know if this will actually work to reduce dengue fever in Mendoza?
Well, that's what they're trying to find out, right? With this pilot program, they're making sure these sterile males can actually compete with the wild males.
Like it's a big test to see if it could really work on a larger scale.
Right.
So what if it does work?
Then they would probably expand the program
Oh, okay.
to other areas and release even more red mosquitoes.
Wow, that's a lot of mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Even if they are sterile, it feels kind of weird releasing all those lab-grown mosquitoes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like, are there any ethical concerns about, like, messing with the ecosystem?
It's good that you're thinking about that.
Yeah.
It's super important to think about those things.
Yeah.
Anytime we intervene in nature, especially on a large scale, but
Oh, yeah.
SIT has been around for a long time.
Okay.
And scientists have been studying and evaluating it for decades.
Okay.
And most agree that compared to other methods like widespread insecticide use,
Wow.
it's actually much safer and more sustainable.
So you're saying insecticides are worse for the environment than these lab-grown mosquitoes?
In many cases, yes.
Wow.
Insecticides can harm other insects that we need.
Right.
They can pollute water.
And they can be bad for people, too.
Exactly.
So this is like the lesser of two evils.
You say that.
So it's not just about getting rid of the bad mosquitoes. It's also about protecting the environment.
That's right.
Okay. So are we at the point where we can just release a bunch of these red mosquitoes and dengue is gone?
I wish it were that simple, but for SIT to really work, it has to be part of a bigger plan.
Like what?
It's called integrated pest management.
Integrated pest management.
It's kind of like a puzzle.
Okay.
And the mosquitoes are just one piece.
Well, so there's more.
Right.
What else do they need to do?
Things like getting rid of standing water.
Oh, right where they breed.
Exactly. And they can use larvicides to target the mosquito larva.
Oh, yeah.
And then there are public health campaigns to teach people how to protect themselves from mosquito bites.
Oh, that's a good idea, like bed nets and stuff.
Right. Things like that.
So it's a multi-pronged attack.
Exactly.
You need all these tools to really work together to get rid of dengue.
It's a long-term strategy.
Yeah.
But that's one of the key takeaways from all this.
So what happens next for this red mosquito project in Mendoza?
Well, they have to analyze all the data from the pilot program.
Right.
They're monitoring the mosquitoes and collecting data.
They're like little mosquito scientists.
Yeah, kinda.
So what happens if it's successful?
They could expand it to other parts of Argentina.
Oh, cool.
And even to other countries that have problems with dengue.
Wow, so this could have a global impact.
Possibly, yeah.
It's like this little project in Mendoza could change the world. It's pretty exciting to think about.
Yeah, and beyond dengue, this project is making people think differently about pest control.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like what else can we do with this?
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. What are you talking about?
What if we could use this for other disease-carrying insects, too?
Oh, yeah, like what?
Like mosquitoes that spread malaria,
Mm-hmm.
or Zika, or even ticks.
Ticks?
Yeah, the ones that spread Lyme disease.
Oh, yeah.
We could target all kinds of things.
That's amazing. It could, like, totally change how we deal with public health.
Yeah, it could.
What about using this for agriculture?
Exactly.
Could we get rid of pests that damage crops?
Yeah, that's a huge potential benefit.
That would be awesome. Then we could grow more food and use fewer pesticides.
Right, and it could help with invasive species, too.
Invasive species.
You know, like plants or animals or insects that cause problems in ecosystems.
Oh, right.
It could really help with all of that.
I had no idea. This could be used for so many things.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Like we could solve so many problems just by stopping these insects from breeding.
It all comes down to understanding nature and working with it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's about being curious and asking questions and trying new things.
When we started this deep dive, I just thought we were going to talk about some red mosquitoes.
Yeah,
But it's turned into something so much bigger.
it really has.
It's like this tiny project in Argentina could have a global impact.
And that's what's so exciting about it.
So to wrap it all up, we learned about how SIT works.
Yeah.
And we saw how successful it's been with other insects.
Right.
And now scientists are trying it out in Mendoza to fight dengue fever.
And we talked about integrated pest management.
Right, like all the other things you need to do besides just releasing mosquitoes.
Right.
It's not just a quick fix.
It's a long-term solution. So as we end our deep dive, here's something to think about. Will we start seeing red mosquitoes everywhere?
Or other insects that have been modified with SIT.
Yeah, and what about the ethics of using this technology?
That's a good point.
We have to think about these things.
Right.
How can we make sure that we're using these culls responsibly?
So many things to consider.
It's a lot to think about.
Thanks for diving deep with us into the world of red mosquitoes and the future of pest control.
It was my pleasure.
Until next time, keep exploring and keep those questions coming.
And don't forget to send us your deep dive topics.
See you next time.